Shanks is the pirate with the highest bounty today, although he will not really be wanted by Sakai Sifu and not even by the Marine. This is because of the great danger he represents worldwide. However, there are some Marines who are not afraid to go after pirates, such as some admirals, especially Akainu, who has a strong and rigid ideology, pursuing any pirate regardless of the danger he presents. In today's video, we will talk about the reasons why Akainu has not ordered the capture of Shanks so far, even after being challenged by him after past events, and we will talk about the reasons why the Marine and neither the Sakai Sifu attacks any Yonkou. Guys, the first meeting that Shanks and Akainu had happened during the big fight at Marine Fort, after several events had occurred, like Ace and Newgate losing their lives. Shanks appeared at the end of this fight, preventing Akainu from taking the life of Kobe, who was opposing the continuation of this unnecessary conflict. Many lives had already been lost, so there was no point in persisting in this fight. Having his lava punch stopped by Shanks' sword, Akainu was shocked to see him in Marine Fort, as it was reported that Shanks would be too far away to face one of the 4 Yonkou, Kaido of the 100 Beasts, but he quickly made it to the big one that was happening in Marine Fort, and also quickly appeared in front of him, intercepting his blow. Aware of the threat Shanks posed, Akainu made no attempt to attack him, although Akainu's fury increased because Shanks was serving as a distraction while Luffy escaped. After the events at Marine Fort, Akainu never spoke about Shanks again. He never even thought about making him pay for the humiliation Shanks caused him during the battle at Marine Fort. This is due to the fact that Shanks is a Yonkou, a highly powerful pirate. Throughout the story of One Piece, we have seen that Shanks only owns one ship with a few companions, but Shanks has many more allies than we realize. Shanks' main crew is very powerful, although they are not all the combat potential that Shanks possesses. His other allies may be sailing around the world in search of gaining territories for Shanks, so only the main pirates follow Shanks everywhere he sails. It is not difficult for Akainu to find Shanks and his crew, but the difficulty would be to face Shanks' crew and get out without much loss, something very difficult to do. Even the Yonkou Big Mom and Admiral Ryo Kuju feared confronting Shanks, so should Akainu order his Marines to capture Shanks, he would be greatly outnumbered. Even if he went directly to Shanks to confront him, something that would likewise be disadvantageous to the Marine, Shanks could call out his fleet to succeed in attacking the Marine, provoking a major confrontation between the Marine and the red-headed pirates. The same goes for the other Yonkou. Although they are a great threat to the Marine, the admirals and not even the fleet admiral can do anything against the emperors of the seas, only against attacking any of their acts. If the Marine decides to attack a Yonkou directly, it would be a big disadvantage for them. Although Akainu may not fear the consequences, it would be something he would do, but has not had the opportunity so far, for as we know, he is a very strict and considerably radical leader, according to an ideology that he calls absolute justice, faithfully following the laws that he considers to be able to make the world a better place. His derived motto is complete justice, which pertains to all Marines. Akainu has a severe ideology, would be dark and even inexpressive, being the most ruthless admiral among the 3 admirals before the time skip. This has given him a very fearsome reputation, but what worries him most is his dogmatism, which could end up turning the Marines into a force worse than the enemies they are pursuing. For Akainu not only seeks to capture the pirates, he wants to take the lives of all of them so that only the Marine need not waste its time chasing after these criminals who, in his vision, turn the world into something can. Despite his belief, Sakazuki seems to be able to restrain himself at times, having chosen to spare the lives of Jewelry Bonnie and his crew after they were beaten and tied up by the pirates of Teach. From very early on, even before Akainu actually became an admiral and later a fleet admiral, he already had an extremist behavior, having completely different ideals from the other Marines. During the Buster Call attack on O'Hara, Sakazuki destroyed a refugee ship full of innocent people and Marines simply because of the slight possibility that an O'Hara scholar might be hiding on board, an action that disgusted Vice Admiral Lei Okiji. Akainu's logic was that if even one of O'Hara's scholars had escaped, the whole mission would have been a failure. His extremism gave him twisted behavior, causing him to do things beyond what was necessary. He is incredibly rigid and absolute in his beliefs, showing little compassion for anyone or anything, and is willing to do whatever it takes to serve his own goals, no matter the cost. Akainu sees the Marines as an extension of himself and his own beliefs, willing to take the lives of those who disagree with him and showing little or no care for the people placed under his charge. Although this made him extremely powerful and feared among the pirates, the same fear inspires discontent and hatred for his own men, causing him to lose very powerful allies such as Aokiji, who deserted the Marine because he disagreed with Akainu's ideals. Even Garp does not agree with Akainu's actions. During the confrontation in Marineford, we saw that Garp was furious because his fanatical obsession with destroying pirates resulted in Ace losing his life, almost taking Luffy's life along with. The best example of his radical ideas is when he tried to take Kobe's life for his plea to stop the great battle that was happening in Marineford. If it wasn't for Shanks, Akainu would have taken Kobe's life easily. His extremism also led him to prevent Admiral Fujitora from entering a Marine base just for going against his orders during the Dressrosa arc. Fujitora as well as Aokiji do not agree with Akainu's way of acting. Fujitora rightly pointed out that Sakazuki's version of justice had no credibility or honor, causing Sakazuki's anger to flare up even more, seeing it as a personal disrespect. Unlike Sengoku, Akainu said that any Marine who is not willing to fight for justice is not worthy to be called a Marine, as well as saying that deserters are a disgrace to their own family. As Fleet Admiral, Sakazuki is immensely proud to be occupying this position within the Marine. His pride is so great that he prefers to cover up the ordeal to ensure that Marines are known as those who judge evil. This behavior caused him to even yell at the Gorosei, telling them to renounce Doflamingo's position as a Shichibukai because he knew that the mess caused by the Shichibukai would affect the Marines' reputation. This shows that he knows the value of public trust, avoiding as much as possible that anyone could discredit the Marine, not even allowing any act of Sakai Sifu to do so, as seen when Fujitora and Ryokuju were unable to capture Sabo. Akainu is doing everything he can to find out the real reason why the two admirals were unable to capture a revolutionary, so that Sabo's escape and the event that led to the King of Alabasta losing his life would not fall on the Marine, allowing them to still maintain their positive reputation around the world. Akainu is willing to lie and deceive his enemies and even his allies to achieve the justice he follows. So far, Akainu's manipulations have been incredibly successful, like when he managed to trick Squad through a strategy made by Sengoku, or even insult Newgate to make Case angry enough to stop his escape attempt. Although he is reckless and very strict, Akainu knows how to work with caution, taking care in every step he takes during combat, not only his steps but also those of his companions, like when Kizaru offers to go to Wana to confront the pirates who were fighting, but he denies it because the Marine was unaware of the power of the warriors of Wana, so it chose to wait until the confrontation was over. Akainu only allowed Ryokuju to interfere in the fight in Wana because he was already in Wana, even though he allowed it. Akainu told him to be very careful with the enemies. We see that the Marine only meddles in the affairs of a Yonkou because they were not the main targets. Kaido was too concerned with the alliance that the citizens of Wana made with the pirates, so he totally ignored the presence of the CP0 members. After Kaido was defeated, Ryokuju arrived in Wana, so the Admiral didn't have to worry about confronting the Yonkou, allowing him to act in Wana, but with the presence of another Yonkou, the Admiral had to flee. So only when the Marine is not the main focus of a Yonkou that they come into play. A direct confrontation of the Marine and a Yonkou would never be made if it was not necessary. For this reason, Akainu avoids going after Shanks or the other Yonkus to confront them, but there would be no confronting Shanks or another Yonkou if necessary. So we may see a major confrontation in the future involving Akainu and some Yonkou, a confrontation that could decide the fate of the world of One Piece.